Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. I want to bring you another interesting person tonight that I've come across. Her name is Amie Reiman, or is it Reiman? Reiman. Amie Reiman.
Reiman.
I apologize. Reiman, who is the founder, director, CEO of something called Hip Lives, and her website is My Hip Life. What, Amie, is My Hip Life?
Actually, Brian, the website is Hip Lives, and I am My Hip Life. My Hip Life is a little story and I guess journey about my son and I.
Okay.
I'm a single mom, and I have a child with special needs, and it's all things health and wonderful as we discover ways to mitigate his disability and the challenges that come with it, as well as my own personal challenges.
And so, number one, I've obviously like to hear about your experience. But number two, then what does this website do? You try to motivate other people, or give them lessons, or give them some suggestions, or what?
Yeah, that's correct. HIP actually is an acronym. So our mission is Health in Progress, which everybody, doesn't matter across what age, which demographic, can consistently strengthen their knowledge and in support systems. So HIP Lives is a community we're building and ready to launch kind of a more turnkey, optional for people looking for a different kind of holistic health and natural supports when it comes to medicine and different therapies.
And obviously your son and his challenges motivated you to get involved in this?
Yeah, we kind of reached a peak, just a ceiling, I guess, of can't do what we were doing anymore. We had to recreate the wheel, and cannabis is a big focus of what centered us in the Hip Lives kind of mindset, because again, with things in progress, it was very early days before legalization that we kind of discovered this is a viable treatment. So we were one of the first actually to take pediatric cannabis for him, and myself actually going through a number of challenges from chronic pain to insomnia. Mine were accident related, no faults of mine, but I do say faults of the current medical system that I wasn't getting any better. If anything, it was causing more complications. So we were ready just to set out and try.
And so give me a sense when your son's challenges are what you say is the special needs. What are his challenges?
So actually, he had got a late diagnosis. Always saw, as he started kindergarten and even before that, not reaching some of those early days milestones, learning developments, developmental delays, very, very high active, everything. So the ADHD was very prominent. Anxiety came with different social scenarios and noise with sensory complications. And so he got his diagnosis. He was 5 years old. He's 10 now. And he has a rare genetic disorder called Fragile X, which often, and I think there's a lot of misdiagnoses out there, but I'm no doctor, but often diagnosed as autism. They have a lot of the same attributes. However, just like everybody, some have very high levels of certain degrees in certain areas and others very low. So we had a very high functioning case of Fragile X. He is verbal. And he is very domesticated, but a lot of those learning difficulties plague him, and with the attention deficit, it's very hard to sit in a classroom and learn when you can't focus and concentrate. So that's where I would say the CBD that we are using is very much helping him versus the Western pharma's typical kind of solutions, which over time we were at the very highest dose, and it was complicating a lot of things like his sleep and his eating. So that was something I wasn't willing to entertain anymore. At 8 years old is when we kind of looked for a new solution, which was a slow process. You have to kind of take out one to feed the other, and it took about a year of that trial and error to get us to where we were.
So give me a sense, what was he on before, Ridland or something like that?
He was on Ridland. He was on the very highest dose you could take at his young age. And as he started developing anxiety, they wanted to give him Prozac, which was not going to happen on my watch, with a very high dose of one, and even the schools having to give him more during the middle of the day, I thought was just a disruption to his life. And as a result, there was a lot of different symptoms and attributes that came with it that also weren't working. So yeah, we had to find something else. And the doctors, I will say, at the time, and we have gone for our annual visits, and so they're very interested to follow us as well in our journey. But the doctors at the time said, hey, listen, you're the parent. If you're willing and you're wanting to seek out cannabis, go ahead. But they weren't willing to support it. There's not enough information, especially in the pediatric community, for them to say yay or nay. So we had to do a lot of my personal vetting and resources, I guess, activated to find somebody that would.
We're chatting tonight with Amie Reiman, who has a special needs son who's using CBD, and she is as well. And she has a website that's trying to motivate people and educate people on, cannabis use for these kinds of issues. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back more with Annie in just a minute. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Brian Crombie Radio. We're chatting tonight with Amie Reiman, who runs a company called Hip Lives, which is a website and a business for people that are looking into cannabis or CBD for what, Amie? For all types of challenges, or primarily as a replacement for Ridland?
All kinds of challenges. They've got so many new discoveries, Brian, when it comes to, different ailments, different kind of mental health and physical health struggles. And, it's natural. So I would say that, we know enough about plants and the good use and what can be done with good plants being formulated into our medicines and our food. So it's for everyone and everything. And I will say, again, I'm not a doctor, but I will say that even if you don't struggle with some of those top pillars of, what it's being known to alleviate, everybody could benefit from putting CBD into their diet on a regular basis. And I will say that my cat also takes CBD, and she's 20. She will, I guess in people years, be 96 as of last week. So
it helps her too.
It helps her too.
So how did you come across the idea of using CBD as a replacement to Ridland for your son?
Well, I had used cannabis back in high school, so, many years ago. And for what it's worth, there wasn't super hard challenges in high school, but there was enough stuff going on, stress and, just anxiety, social anxieties. And so I was using it, and I didn't really know that it was helping me. But I guess it was. There was a huge stigma attached to it. And I guess in the, later years, I just pulled away from it. It wasn't, it was making me more tired. And there wasn't enough resource or education back then to know that you could actually take cannabis without those intoxicating effects. And so as those started being known to society, especially in Canada, that CBD versus THC is giving you exactly the same medicinal benefits, but without that high, I thought, well, I don't want to get my kids stoned, but there's something there that I know just from personal use that is definitely got some great value.
And so you're using it as well, you say, for back pain?
Yes, for back pain. I've had 2 car accidents, unfortunately.
Oh my gosh.
In the past 4 years. Yeah, good old Toronto. That kind of caused a lot of rolling effect of symptoms for me, which was starting with, initial back degenerative discs, kind of, from disc shifting and bulging. Migraines I never had a migraine in my life. Those were starting to plague me daily. And then because of that, my mental health was going completely out of whack. That typical energy to just jump up out of bed or be able to do things quickly or focus behind the computer. I couldn't do it the same way. So I was getting like panicky over being able to attend to a lot of things that I would normally just do so easily, and also depressed because I wasn't the same person. I was slower, and I was again in pain. So for depression and for anxiety and for chronic pain and for the migraines and then insomnia, because my days had to be a lot longer, and then I just didn't want to shut down. Maybe mentally, maybe I didn't want to shut down. Physically, it hurt getting up. So there was a lot of what do I do come sleep time, and so I couldn't. And so I was going to the doctor probably every week with a new, what do I do about this and what can I take there? And of course, by the end of it, I was taking about 5 different Western farms to relieve some of those. And then they gave me more challenges. I was gaining weight because of some of the meds. It was just a plethora of more and more and more.
So these were antidepressants, SSRIs or something like that you were on that have weight gain as a side effect?
Yep. And I knew, because I still mentally knew I wasn't happy. I wasn't the same person. And so I went to see a therapist, which I love doing, just talking to somebody about these issues. But I said to her, I remember back in 2018, I don't like taking something that's making me feel happy when I know that I'm not. So it was kind of masking something that I wanted to get to the root of, which was fix it, not just hide it.
Fix the pain, or fix some mental health issue, or both.
Yeah. Turns out I wasn't all that upset to begin with. I was just, it was repercussive of too much. And being on my own and being in the big city and working in a corporate role and having all these demands and trying to fix the car, I just couldn't get to the wheel first. I wanted to get to the car, and I just really didn't know what starting point was the best route. And of course, when you're seeing all these doctors who are kind of in conflict with one another, when you see a physiotherapist to, homeopath and all of these different services, it's too much. And so I needed to just kind of wipe the slate clean. And I actually took a forcible medical leave from my job before kind of coming up with this Hip Lives and this route for me and my family.
And so you started on cannabis. Now was that when it was legal or before it was legal and you were using medical marijuana?
I started before it was legal, only months before, which was great because who would have known? Pre-legalization, we were able to get my son's prescription and start down that road. And
so did you start first, or did he start first, or did you both start together?
We started at the same time. Yeah, excellent. We started at the same time.
And I've never heard about pediatric use before. So tell me, what exploration did you do to evaluate the pediatric use?
Great question. So I went to one of the largest hospitals in Ontario for pediatric care, and it was in London, Ontario, actually, that I had Googled that they had a doctor that was prescribing cannabis. Now, this was more for Dravet's syndrome, which is like an epilepsy. Right. And I'd always known one of the strains, actually, Charlotte's Web, was for this particular syndrome. And I thought, well, we don't have epilepsy. However, children with Fragile X, it is one of the things that they could have. So it gave me the conversation, I guess initially, that I was concerned that he may eventually have seizures. And anyways, I just wanted to talk. I wasn't hiding or making up any truths. They then pointed me in the direction of a medical cannabis clinic in Hamilton, Ontario. I think you know him, actually, who runs that Hello Cannabis. But Hello Cannabis was the kind of initial medical clinic to see us. Okay. And they had a few patients at the time that were already using. So they did have some case study, and they saw Jackson, my son, and they said, if you're monitoring this. And of course, I had all the time in the world, having left my job, to monitor this 100% full time, taking notes, as I was upping one dose and taking away another. And it was very controlled.
So you actually got a doctor to prescribe CBD for your son at 10 years old, or at 8 years old, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for the last 2 years, he's been taking it. How does he take it? Does he take it in a lotion, or how does he take it?
He takes it in a tincture, which, I mean, anybody who has taken CBD does not have the best taste. So he does a chaser. It's almost like he does one little drop and then a shot of apple juice. But he takes it every morning, and it goes all day. So that was another thing that was really important to me, is to have something that was, time released almost, to get him through the day, and just to control the things that were, at least visibly noticeable. And for me, and I know this just because of all the research I've done in the meantime, and all that's available to us, is that there's so much that it's doing that I can't see as well. So it's been a really nice process to kind of see the consistency. There's never been any regression in any areas, and never any concerns as we were increasing to what I think is a great level. His prescription actually allows him to have more, but we haven't needed it. So it's kind of, in my opinion, a miracle drug.
Fantastic. And he's off the Ridland completely.
Completely. Both of us are off of all pharmaceuticals.
Really? That's really quite fascinating. And is there a specific strain that you take?
Yeah, so we're taking, it's called Shubi, from Organigram. So Organigram actually has a compassion program in place as well. So as single mother on a budget, it's expensive. And anybody who takes CBD, of course, in Canada, it's only given medicinally. And the reason for that is that it actually comes from the cannabis plant, whereas in the US, it comes from hemp. So it doesn't have the same attributes as what we actually prescribe here in Canada. So that's a little bit of an education piece there that a lot of people don't know when they're looking at the cost versus the benefits, Canada, US, and whatnot. So they've got this program in place, and without it, we were looking at a very high cost for this medicine. But this program actually supports the pediatric community and those who have set budgets for them to get it for free. And
so you launched this website, Hip Lives, and tell me what the website does.
So initially, it was about our story. It was more of an education and a testimony. So there was no monetization or anything. This was a passion for me, is to get this message out there, speak to parents, not only in the Fragile X community, which, I'm connected to, different parents across the globe, but for others kind of looking for their own personal discoveries. At least they could hear and see, because we do a lot of stuff on, live camera, and share our stories in social media. So, we just wanted to generate a message through a following that was honest and transparent and flawed. As individuals we are, right? So I always say, it's my imperfect look at, like our perfect solution. So, this mission for health and progress for myself has been health and parenting, which is another HIP. The healing in plants, which of course involves cannabis, and most recently, as COVID and all of these, worries, I suppose, when it comes to what's next, humanity is protected, and that pillar for me is more connectivity to other areas of health. What works for me, I'm not going to say is going to work for everybody. And not everybody's a parent, and not everybody enjoys cannabis. So I wanted other natural health remedies and solutions, as well as therapies, and just discussions surrounding. So Hip Lives right now has a few different health and wellness experts that hone in on different ways to meditate and to take treatments, via plant medicine, whether it's essential oils or other natural herb kind of supplements, with different therapy services resources, including coaching, because we all kind of need that either motivation or that person to leverage to answer a lot of questions that maybe we have too many answers given to us by Google that we're even more confused. So really just getting those experts and those, that content readily available so that it was more of an inclusive message.
Now, your website says it's primarily for females. Is that true?
It's not anymore. So with the new launch, I've gone through a rebranding, and so that's set to come out next Monday officially.
Okay.
We're about 80% there. If anybody's checking it out, what you see is going to be closer to what you would have 2 weeks ago. So we're very close, and I wanted an inclusive message, especially having that time in quarantine and just reading and hearing the fear and the I guess just worry about what's going to be the next problem and how do we deliver different health solutions as we protect ourselves. And so for that, even though we do have a very high women following, that's everybody. That's the dads, that's the single men, that's the everybody across every pillar can benefit from health and progress.
I read one of your articles, and it seems like you must have been hurt. You start out by saying people will let you down in this life. Promises will be broken. You should expect less of others. What happened?
I think in just general, Brian, we often, and especially because of, going through COVID, we make plans. A lot of people didn't get to go away on March break, and, the trips that they would normally take with their family in the summer, or that work function that they look forward to every year, or whatever. So it's not just people, it's kind of scenarios that let us down. And I've learned to start controlling only what I can control. I think that attesting to anything that is out of my control makes a false representation of myself. So I only try to generally speak to what works for me and what I have available to control in my life. And so getting let down a number of times, as we all do, and dabbling in a few different areas, because my actual strength and what I do as a consultant involves trusting other people. And in this world where there's a lot of uncertainty, and we are often meeting people now virtually, we don't know, you're trying to put your trust in a place that is maybe not where you should put it, or that you need to take a little bit more time vetting. So I think that's really what it honed in on, and the only thing I can take out of it is my fault. Won't do that again.
Okay. You have another one that was personal alignment for the crooked lifestyle, how I made it work. What was the crooked lifestyle, and how did you make it work?
Well, so I guess it's not, my situation is not everybody's situation. So having a crooked lifestyle involves a lot of different ups and downs and challenges that maybe others don't fix. Crooked being my back. and making it work was this solution to change what I was doing before. So, this crooked lifestyle came from everything from physical to the mental and all the facets in between.
What are apple ladybug treats?
That's something you can do with your kids at home. I have found with Jackson, we are challenged by sitting down and doing anything to the longevity that maybe some of those things take. So it even games and puzzles, and he gets frustrated or he gets distracted quite easily. And so I know that we have to have a number of different, stations, let's call them, around the house so that we can gravitate towards what he's interested in, or at least which will capture his interest for a long enough period. And so in this kind of, hands-on, one-to-one time that he needs and that he really thrives from, we found that cooking in the kitchen has been something that we enjoy. He loves to eat, so it comes with a great result at the end that really gets him motivated. So the apple treats were us discovering something to do. And, you know, you can find so many different things on Pinterest, and I'll probably put a lot of our fails up on the site too as we grow. But it's something quick and easy that we found that we enjoy doing together. And we always do the prep for meals. And we've started, we're going to be starting our YouTube channel soon, which will have a lot of those in the moment, I guess, times. We actually went live last week, and he's very funny, like very funny. And so I know that he's going to be very receptive, and people will enjoy watching some of our.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you also host, I guess, articles from other people, and you've got one from a lawyer about mindfulness, and you've got another one about Don't Believe the Hype, 3 Misconceptions about Living with a Disability. So I guess that's one of the benefits of your website, is that you get guest article writers to talk about their own challenges and their solutions.
Yeah. Well, as I say, we're all different. So again, my story, you know, it's not always the same as somebody else's. Of course not. And this lawyer, she's actually the host of a cannabis podcast. That's how I initially met her. She runs the Canamom show in Boston. And so she had a lot of stigma attached to her old profession, and taking this kind of spin and this approach to her health. And I don't think she even talks about it in the blog, which is funny. But I had hosted a contest this summer, How I Pandemic, again with the HIP, HIP. So How I Pandemic, in her story, just kind of shows in solitude that she found a lot of growth personally from that time she spent alone.
What a fascinating website that you've got, and challenges that you're dealing well with. I congratulate you. If people want to contact you, is the website the best way to do it?
Yeah, we've got a number of places throughout the website if you're looking to contribute. We're always looking for somebody's message. We have an Ask Rachel column, which is our mom. She kind of runs the health and parenting and all the QA that comes through there. So if you've got a question or some kind of solution or some feedback, love to hear it. And then when it comes to my services, I do consulting. So business consulting, especially in the cannabis space, for different connectivity. I'd say I'm a dot connector globally for those wanting brand and product development, across the PPE sectors as of this year, when people are looking for different protection and safety solutions for their home and business, and just general feedback, of course, or for those experts that maybe see an area where we are covering, which I know there is a few. I'd love a virtual trainer if anybody's out there with a, kind of holistic approach to doing that online. Looking to host whoever's got a service that really stays in line with that health and progress mission.
Wonderful. And remind us what the website is.
It's www.hiplives.com.
Well, Amie Reimer, hiplives.com. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. That's an interesting story that you've got, and good luck with you and your son.
Thanks so much, Brian. Pleasure.
Thank you. We're going to take another break. Come back in just a minute. Stay with us.